Coffee, when it goes cold, turns bitter in a way that cuts deep. Tara Shin had been staring at the document for 7 minutes. The title read, Notice of Disciplinary Action Against Comrade Tara Shin for Serious Violation of Professional Standards. Outside, sunlight fell across the signature at the bottom right, Mark Zhao's. The man she'd called mentor for 5 years. They said his hand hadn't trembled when he signed. Tara, don't take it too hard. Melanie Sue approached with a hot Americano, her voice calibrated for sympathy. Mr. Zhao said they won't pursue legal action if you resign voluntarily. Everyone keeps their dignity. Dignity. Tara looked up at the woman who'd once called her Sister Tara from the next cubicle. Today Melanie wore a cream blazer, the one she'd complained was too expensive at last year's gala. She'd been doing well these past 3 months. What else did Mr. Zhao say? Tara's voice was so calm that Melanie's smile faltered. Just that your project problems were too serious. The client filed complaints at headquarters. He can't protect you anymore. Melanie composed herself. With your abilities, you can start over anywhere. Tara didn't respond. She looked at her fingers, steady, no tremor. Just as they'd been on every sleepless night over the past 3 months, replaying everything. The project branded a serious violation was 8 months of her life, work she'd led from risk assessment to final report. On closing day, Mark had clapped her shoulder, Zhao Shin, beautifully done. At the year-end partner vote, I'll recommend you. Then, 3 days after submission, the client was exposed in an accounting fraud scandal. Regulators discovered Hongda's audit report had disclosed none of the irregularities. In between lay a 5-day gap, the exact window when Tara had been sent out of town. She returned to find everything changed. Approval records altered. Key analytical pages missing from working papers. Email correspondence accidentally cleaned. The version presented to investigators was a report full of holes, with Tara's name as signatory. Whoever did this had been thorough. 3 months of digging had yielded no direct evidence to overturn the verdict. Only one person could have pulled it off. Tara's gaze fell again on Mark Zhao's signature. I understand. She stood, picked up the cold coffee, and poured it slowly into the trash can, the dark liquid trickling down like a wordless ceremony. Melanie blinked, caught off guard. In their script, Tara was supposed to cry, make a scene, that would have justified adding, emotionally unstable, to her exit evaluation. Instead, she simply poured out the coffee. Melanie, Tara said with the flat calm of someone discussing weather, give Mr. Zhao a message. What message? Tell him Tara Shin thanks him for 5 years of mentorship. The corner of her mouth lifted, a smile that never reached her eyes. And tell him I have Article 3 of Auditing Standard number 1141 memorized cold. Melanie went pale. Article 3, a CPA who identifies material misstatements during audit shall disclose them in the report. Concealment constitutes gross negligence. Tara picked up the ceramic mug that had sat on her desk for 5 years, emblazoned with, Hongda Accounting Firm, Outstanding Employee 2018, and walked out. The corridor was long, flanked by glass partitions. Colleagues pretended to stare at screens, sneaked glances, whispered the moment she passed. Near the break room, a figure stepped into her path. Fiona Fong. Tara's steps finally paused. Fiona wore a light blue knit top, carrying 2 coffees. When she saw Tara, complex emotion flickered across her face, quickly replaced by calibrated sympathy. Tan. Fiona's voice was soft. Are you really leaving? Tara looked at her. This woman inseparable from her since college. Who'd covered 3 night shifts when Tara's mother was hospitalized. Who knew all Tara's secrets, and whom Tara thought she'd known in return. 3 months ago, Fiona had accidentally forwarded core data from Tara's computer to Mark Zhao. Tara had checked the timestamp later, 3:17 a.m. At that hour, only Fiona had the key to Tara's office. Yes, I'm leaving, Tara said evenly. What What are you planning to do? Fiona's eyes darted away. Want me to reach out to some contacts? No. The corner of Tara's mouth lifted again. I have my own plans. She stepped around Fiona and kept walking. Tan Tan. Fiona called from behind. You don't really blame me, do you? About that thing. Tara stopped but didn't turn. What thing? The fact that you were working at 3 in the morning? Behind her, silence. Tara pushed open the fire door and entered the stairwell. She descended 1 floor at a time, heels clicking against concrete. On the 13th floor, she stopped. Slowly, she crouched and buried her face in her knees. She didn't cry. She was thinking about one question only: if she was going to get revenge, how could she do it without dirtying her own hands? Her phone vibrated. A WeChat message from Zhenqin, interview confirmed. Jason Liu will meet you in person. Tomorrow 2 p.m., Tower 3, China World Trade Center, 47th floor. Tara stared at those words. Zhen was her college classmate, now a lawyer. Over the past 3 months, Zhen had been the one who sat with her through every night she wanted to fall apart. Another buzz. Tan Tan, are you sure about Mingda? They're Hongda's biggest rival. Going there means burning every bridge with Mark Zhao. Tara's fingers paused. Then she typed, to burn bridges, you have to have bridges in the first place. She sent it, stood, brushed non-existent dust from her skirt, and pushed into the ground floor lobby. The receptionist, Zhao, opened her mouth as if to speak, then thought better of it. Tara gave her a warm smile. Zhao, keep up the good work. Maybe we'll meet again someday. She pushed through the glass doors into Beijing's deep autumn sunlight. The sky was clear blue, ginkgo trees blazed yellow along the street. Tara stood outside Hongda's building, looking up one last time at the gold-lettered sign, Hongda Accounting Firm, integrity first, professional conduct paramount. She stared at those 12 characters and found them almost funny. She tossed her mug into a trash can by the curb. It landed with a dull thud. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed. Mom. I resigned. A pause. Her mother's voice came through, unhurried. Have you thought this through? Yes. Then do what you need to do. A brief pause. But Tan Tan, remember, whatever you do, don't let it weigh on your conscience. I know, Mom. You've always been independent. I'm not worried. Her mother's voice softened. Go on. Whenever you want my soup, just come home. Tara ended the call and took a deep breath. The autumn wind carried the crisp scent of ginkgo leaves. She pulled her coat tighter and walked toward the subway without looking back. Behind her, Hongda's sign glittered in the sun as if nothing had changed. But Tara knew everything had changed. The cold coffee was gone. Now it was time to brew a fresh pot, one she would stir herself, until everyone tasted what real bitterness meant. 3 days later. Tower 3, China World Trade Center, 47th floor. Mingda Accounting Firm's reception area was tastefully designed, muted gray tones and natural wood, clean and professional. Tara sat on the waiting room sofa, scanning certificates on the wall, SICPA AAAAA rating, Best Audit Innovation, Excellence in Financial Audit. Ms. Shen. Mr. Liu is ready for you. Tara followed the receptionist down the corridor to the corner office. The door was open. The first person she saw was not Jason Liu, it was the man sitting across from his desk, just turning to look at her. Mark Zhao. Tara's stride faltered for half a second. Mark wore a charcoal suit, his hair immaculate, his face wearing that familiar genial smile. Zhao Shen. He seemed genuinely surprised. What are you doing here? Tara's mind raced. Mark at Mingda didn't add up. Hongda and Mingda were direct competitors. As a senior manager at Hongda, Mark wouldn't be here for a social visit. Unless, she remembered last week's financial news, both firms were bidding on a major government audit contract, a provincial financing platform worth over 20 million. He was fishing. Mr. Zhao. Tara nodded slightly, voice flat. I'm here for an interview. An interview? Mark raised an eyebrow, then turned to Jason Liu. Jason, this is a former colleague from Hongda, very capable. Though there were some complications during her departure. I'd advise you to think carefully. Polished words. Everyone a knife. Jason Liu leaned back, his gaze moving between them. At 35, he had the quiet gravity of a man twice his age. His eyes were sharp, always assessing. I appreciate the warning, Mark. Jason's tone was mild. But at Mingda, we only care about competence, not background. Mark's smile cooled. Of course. He stood. Well, I won't take up more of your time, Jason. I hope Mingda performs optimally in the upcoming bidding. As he passed Tara, he murmured too low for anyone else to hear, Xiao Shen, leave room for compromise. Don't do something you'll regret. Tara turned to look him in the eye. Mr. Zhao, she said, equally low, do you know Article 3 of Auditing Standard Number 1141? Mark's pupils contracted sharply. But Tara had already turned away, walking to Jason's desk and sitting down across from him, back straight, expression composed, as if that exchange had never happened. Mark stood at the doorway for 2 seconds, then left. His footsteps were heavier than when he'd arrived. The door clicked shut. Jason studied Tara, a faint smile playing at his lips. Article 3, concerning disclosure obligations for material misstatements. Is there something you're implying? Tara met his gaze. What do you think? They held each other's eyes for 3 full seconds. Then Jason laughed, a laugh that said, interesting. I've read your resume. He opened a folder. CPA, 5 years audit experience, led 7 major projects independently. Left Hongda 3 months ago, personal reasons. Yes. But I've heard other versions. Jason closed the folder. Word is you mismanaged a project so badly it triggered regulatory scrutiny of the client, and you resigned under pressure. Given that you heard that, why did you agree to see me? Jason studied her for a moment. Because I don't believe it. I looked at the public records of the projects you handled. Every audit report was clean, risk assessments solid, substantive procedures complete, evidence chains tight. That's not the profile of someone who makes rookie mistakes. Tara's lashes trembled slightly. In 3 months, he was the first person to say I don't believe it. So, Jason leaned back, I'd like to hear your version. Tara paused. Then she began. Her voice was flat, almost clinical, as if narrating someone else's story. 8 months of work. Every critical decision point. The altered report. The 5-day business trip. No embellishment, no finger-pointing, just facts, laid out like an auditor presenting a case file. Jason didn't interrupt once. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. You don't have evidence, he said. Not a question. Not yet. What do you plan to do? Tara lifted her eyes to his. Mr. Liu, if I join Mingda, I can guarantee we'll win the government contract. One eyebrow went up. That's a bold claim. It's not a claim. I spent 5 years at Hongda. I know their standard operating procedures for government audits, their technical blind spots, their staffing weaknesses. If the bidding involves technical proposal comparison, I can help Mingda outperform them at every point. Jason looked at her, really looked. Do you understand what that means? Yes. It means I'm burning every bridge with Hongda. It means Mark Zhao will use every resource to come after me. Are you ready for that? I've been ready for 3 months. Another long silence. Jason's fingers drummed absently against the desk. Finally, start tomorrow. Senior auditor, 3-month probation. Win that government project, and you get promoted to manager. Tara's eyes widened slightly. Faster than expected. Why? Aren't you worried about retaliation from Hongda? Jason laughed, the confident laugh of a veteran. Ms. Shen, do you know how Mingda grew from a dozen people to its current size in 10 years? She shook her head. Because I don't care what my competitors think. I only care whether my team is strong enough. Welcome to Mingda. Tara stood and took his hand. His grip was firm, dry. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The government project, you need to deliver something concrete. Hongda has deep roots in this space. Technical proposals alone might not be enough. I know. But networks are a double-edged sword. The deeper the ties, the harder it is to hide the interests. Jason's eyes brightened. What do you have in mind? I can't say yet. But my first task will be to compile a list of potential quality deficiencies in Hongda's government audit work over the past 5 years, all based on public data and industry analysis. Completely legal. She emphasized those last 2 words. Jason understood. You don't want to become like them. No. If I win that way, winning means nothing. He studied her for a long moment, evaluation fading into something rarer, respect. Tara, do you know how many people in this industry, after being wronged, choose to fight fire with fire? Many. Then why don't you? Tara looked down at her own fingers. Because my mother is a teacher. She taught her whole life, taught her students to be honest. If one of her students did something wrong, she'd be sad. If her own daughter did something wrong. Her voice caught. She'd be disappointed. Jason didn't speak. I can live with anyone else being disappointed in me. Tara looked up, but not her. Outside, autumn light slanted through the blinds, striping the desk with bars of gold and shadow. Tara sat in that light, spine straight, eyes clear. Jason Liu thought, this woman is more interesting than I expected. And more dangerous. 9 o'clock tomorrow, he said. HR will handle the paperwork. Tara Shin did nothing conspicuous during her first week at Mingda. She arrived at 8:30 on the dot, left at 8 p.m., ate lunch at her desk, never joined office gossip. A silent shadow in the open-plan office, tucked by the window, facing her screen all day. But she missed nothing. At lunch, she wore earphones, though nothing was playing, and absorbed every word, project status updates, client gossip, office politics. By day 3, she'd mapped out Mingda's internal landscape. Jason Liu was the youngest partner, heading financial audit, with 3 managers and 12 senior auditors under him. His faction was known as the hardcore technical team, strong on professionalism, weak on relationships, always losing government bids to savvier rivals. Another partner, George Zhao, ran government audit. Older than Jason by a decade, he'd spent 20 years navigating back channels. His connections ran deep, but his methods were flexible. This provincial government platform audit was a joint bid between Jason and George's teams. Tara opened the project file. Client, a provincial government investment and financing platform. Total assets under management, over 50 billion. Bidders, Mingda, Hongda, and 2 local firms. Evaluation criteria, technical proposal 60%, pricing 30%, track record 10%. Tara's eyes lingered on that 60%. Unusual, government bids usually weighed pricing more heavily. But this weighting meant one thing, the project was high risk. Government financing platforms, under recent deleveraging policies, were walking liabilities. If an audit missed something and the platform collapsed, the firm would be on the hook. The client wanted real experts. Tara closed the file. Hongda had worked in this space for 20 years. She knew their technical templates, their audit methodologies, their risk control processes. She knew where they excelled, and where they were weak. Those weaknesses, minor in normal times, could be fatal in a high-risk project. Her job wasn't to fabricate them, it was to put them in the spotlight, entirely within legal bounds. Her phone buzzed. Jason, government project prep meeting. Tomorrow 3 p.m. George will be there. Come prepared. She replied, received. Then she opened a new spreadsheet and typed the first line, Hongda Government Audit Quality Gap Analysis, a comparative study based on public information. Every word was clean. Over the next 3 days, Tara barely slept. She combed through 5 years of Hongda's public filings, listed company annual audits, government platform special audits, SOE restructuring audits. She read every report cover to cover, annotating data points, flagging vague language. She pulled bid award announcements and analyzed pricing strategies and proposal structures. She even tracked down academic papers Hongda had published, reverse engineering their methodological preferences. All the information was public. But systematically organized and cross-referenced, a picture emerged. Hongda's problem wasn't technical capability, it was a tendency to tailor work to the client. For strictly regulated SOEs, audits were tight and clean. But for weakly supervised government platforms, procedures were sloppy, simplified, compressed, selectively applied. Not criminal. Opportunistic. In this bidding process, exposing that opportunism in front of the review panel would gut Hongda's credibility. Friday, 3 p.m. The meeting room filled with a dozen people. Jason sat at one end, George across from him. The friction was obvious, but for a major client, they kept appearances. Tara sat at Jason's end, unobtrusive as furniture. We have the initial draft of the technical proposal, the manager from George's side began. Core approach, comprehensive coverage, focused priorities, strict compliance, drawing on our extensive experience in government platform audits. Slides flipped by. Tara listened without interrupting. The proposal was solid, professional, impossible to fault. But not surprising. Review panels would give it high marks, but not top marks. It looked exactly like every proposal they'd seen in the last decade. When the presentation ended, Jason nodded and turned to Tara. Your thoughts? All eyes shifted. Tara rose, walked to the projector, plugged in her USB. A new slide appeared, bid strategy, differentiated competition, precision targeting of Hongda's weaknesses. George's brow furrowed. Hongda. We haven't even finalized our own proposal, and you're already studying the opponent. George, Tara said evenly, the technical proposal counts for 60%. That means our competitors are the other 3 firms. If we don't know what cards they're holding, we can't play our best hand. George fell silent, though skeptical. Tara advanced to the next slide. I analyzed Hongda's public filings for government platform audits over the past 5 years. They use 3 template proposals, for large platforms, medium platforms, and special purpose audits. These templates have clear strengths, mature frameworks, standardized formatting, familiar to review panels. But they share one weakness. Next slide, insufficient procedural depth. Specific data appeared. Take hidden debt identification, a critical risk. Hongda's standard procedure is 3-layer verification, document review, management interviews, and sample testing. Sounds thorough. But in 3 similar projects I personally handled, the actual sampling rate was significantly lower than what the proposal promised. Evidence? Asked George's manager. Yes. Hongda's public disciplinary notices from SICPA quality inspections in 2019, 2020, and 2021. 3 document screenshots appeared, each with a highlighted passage. Selected projects exhibited insufficient execution of audit procedures, primarily reflected in sampling rates below standard requirements, incomplete documentation of alternative procedures, and inadequate justification of key assumptions. Silence. These notices were public record, anyone could find them. But no one had ever connected them to a specific bid. These notices don't name names, Tara said, but the inspection years align closely with Hongda's involvement in government platform audits. Reviewers only need to make a simple logical leap. Next slide, a firm repeatedly cited by the SICPA over 3 years for insufficient audit procedures, when it promises airtight procedures for a 50 billion asset platform audit. How credible is that promise? No one answered. George slowly straightened. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that in our technical proposal, we don't attack Hongda. We just show our differentiators. Next slide. For bullet points, hidden debt identification, increase sampling from 30% to 60%, with big data cross-verification, related party transactions, penetrate 3 layers of equity structure instead of 2, fund flow tracking, commit to full bank statement analysis instead of sampling, offset additional costs by streamlining non-critical processes, keeping total bid price unchanged. Every point struck at Hongda's soft spots. Every point could withstand expert scrutiny. Jason leaned back, a smile spreading across his face. George was quiet for a long moment. Then, Ms. Shen, these measures. Can you actually control the cost? Yes. I've implemented similar optimizations at Hongda. I know where to cut waste without cutting quality. George fell quiet again, looking from Tara to Jason. Then abruptly, Jason. Where did you find her? Jason laughed. She found us. After the meeting, as the room emptied, Jason stopped Tara. Those SICPA notices, how did you think to look them up? Because I know Mark Zhao. He's careful, but overconfident. He assumes minor flaws won't be noticed. The SICPA notices are always there, but no one bothers to read them. Except you. I told you, everything he taught me, I'm giving back. Jason studied her. Next week's bid presentation. Do you want to go? Presentations were typically handled by partners and senior managers. As a 2-week hire, she wasn't even in the conversation. Would that be appropriate? You're the one who understands the technical details best. Jason paused. And, Mark Zhao will be there. Having him see you across the table should be interesting. Tara was quiet for a beat. Then the corner of her mouth curled. Jason, you're leveraging my personal vendetta. I'm giving it a legitimate outlet. He stood, gathering notes. By the way, don't stay too late tonight. Starting tomorrow, we're in full sprint mode. He left. Tara stood at the window, watching the city darken. Tower after tower flickered to life, a forest of lights. She'd been one of them once, thinking she was building a career, until she found herself a discarded piece on someone else's board. Now she sat at the board again. This time, she'd be no one's pawn. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Tara, I heard you joined Mingda. Wonderful. Now we can face each other openly. By the way, about the government bid. You don't actually think Mingda can win, do you? Fiona. Tara read the message, fingers hovering. After a minute, she typed something, then deleted it character by character. She locked the phone and left. No reply needed. The answer would reveal itself at the bid presentation. 3 days later. The provincial government tender hall. The conference room was vast, holding 100 people. 4 firms sent delegations of 5 or 6 each. As Tara walked in with Jason and George, her eyes found Mark Zhao immediately. He sat at the center of Hongda's delegation in a navy suit. Melanie Su was beside him, along with unfamiliar faces, Hongda's government audit heavyweights. Mark's face didn't shift when he spotted her. But his fingers tapped twice on the table, an unconscious tell she knew well. He was nervous. 5 years as his student, she knew him too well. Melanie's reaction was more obvious. Her gaze landed on Tara for 2 seconds, then darted away as she buried herself in materials, flipping pages twice as fast. Fiona wasn't there. Her rank wasn't high enough. Tara took her seat with Mingda, opened her laptop, pulled up slides. The format, each firm got 20 minutes to present, followed by Q&A, firms presented in random order, Hongda drew 3rd, Mingda 4th. The first two firms delivered competent but unremarkable proposals. Then Hongda. Mark presented personally. His voice steady, slides polished, logic crystalline, the same template Tara knew by heart. Professional. Smooth. Flawless. If she hadn't done her homework, if she hadn't spent 5 years inside that machine, she would have considered it a strong competitor. The Q&A began. The first two panelists asked about debt identification and related party depth. Mark fielded them easily. Then the third panelist spoke, an older man, gray-haired, perhaps in his 60s, with wire-rimmed glasses. He'd been quiet all along, but now he leaned forward. Mr. Zhao, your proposal states you'll use full-scope verification for hidden debt identification. But according to our information, Hongda was cited by the SICPA over the past 3 years for insufficient execution of audit procedures, including inadequate sampling rates. Mark's composure flickered, but he was a veteran. Thank you for the question. SICPA quality inspections are routine oversight. Hongda has indeed had areas for improvement. However, those do not reflect our performance across all projects. For this engagement, we've designed a rigorous internal quality control framework. Mr. Zhao, the older man interrupted gently, I'm not questioning your intentions. I'm asking, how can you guarantee this time that you'll deliver on every commitment? Mark paused. Tara saw his fingers tap the table again. We'll deploy a dedicated quality control team, with a senior partner directly overseeing quality review. The panelist nodded slightly, letting it go. But Tara knew the seed had been planted. Hongda's presentation ended. As Mark left the podium and passed Mingda's section, his eyes met Tara's. She held his gaze. He looked away and walked past without expression. Then Mingda's turn. Jason delivered the opening, but Tara handled the technical portion. The moment she stepped to the podium, she felt the weight of every Hongda gaze on her. Melanie's expression had gone rigid. Tara drew a breath and began. Honorable panelists. Our core strategy for this project can be summed up in 2 words, over-deliver. We don't promise what we can't do. We only promise what we can, but we promise to go one step further than the industry standard. Slide by slide, she laid out her case. Cadence measured, technical details crisp. She didn't mention Hongda once. But every point targeted a weakness in their proposal. On hidden debt identification, industry standard sampling 20 to 30%, insufficient for a 50 billion asset platform, committing to minimum 60%, with tripartite cross-verification. On related party penetration, industry standard 2 layers, committing to at least 3, tracing to ultimate beneficiary on suspicious transactions. On pricing, bid in line with market average, not charging more for additional procedures because workflow optimization cuts non-essential costs while maintaining quality. 20 minutes. Flawless. Q&A was fierce. First question, Ms. Shen, we understand you previously worked at Hongda. How much of this proposal is derived from that experience? Tara didn't flinch. All of it. My 5 years at Hongda showed me the pain points and blind spots in government platform audits. A good audit proposal shouldn't be bound by firm boundaries. I'm grateful for what I learned there, and today I'm using that knowledge in Mingda's proposal. The panel seemed satisfied. Second question, your sampling commitment doubles the industry standard. How do you control quality at that scale? Tara laid out Mingda's quality control framework, citing latest SICPA standards. Third question, how specifically do you plan to optimize processes and cut costs? Tara opened a supplemental document and walked through her workflow optimization with data. When Q&A ended, a smattering of applause came from the panel, a rarity in bid presentations. Tara walked back to Mingda's section. Jason handed her a bottle of water. Well done. She unscrewed the cap and drank. Hands steady, pulse calm. All nerves dissolved before she stepped to the podium, because she prepared for everything. The presentations concluded. The panel retired to deliberate. Delegations waited in a lounge area. Mark Zhao approached Tara and stopped beside her. Xiao Shen. Good performance. Warm voice, mentor praising student. You seem to be settling in well at Mingda. Thank you. But I should mention one thing. He leaned closer, lowering his voice. Do you know who the client is here? A platform company under the Provincial Finance Department. And the head of the Finance Department's Audit Division, Director Liu, is my senior from university. He patted her shoulder and walked away. Tara watched his retreating back, fingertips whitening. But she didn't panic. She'd known. Director Liu was indeed his senior, but the evaluation panel had 7 members, 3 from the provincial level, 4 independent experts dispatched by the Ministry of Finance. Those ministry experts hated one thing above all, audit shortcuts. Tara had chosen insufficient execution of audit procedures precisely because she knew it would trigger the external experts. An open gambit, no backroom dealings, no interest transfers, just professionalism and preparation. 1 hour later, the results came. The tender official stood, first place, Mingda Accounting Firm. Total score, 92.6. Second place, Hongda Accounting Firm. Total score, 87.3. More than 5 points, a decisive margin. Mark Zhao's face finally shifted. Tara sat there, spine straight, face calm, but she twisted the cap off her bottle, then on, then off again. Her fingers were tighter than usual. When delegations filed out, Tara lingered at the back of Mingda's group. At the corridor corner, a voice stopped her. Tara. She turned. Melanie stood alone, expression anxious. Something? You're really going to war with Hongda? Melanie's voice was pitched low. Do you have any idea how many connections Mark has behind him? What's a new hire like you going to gain? Tara looked at her. This woman who'd once sat beside her now wore a familiar expression, fear. Not of Tara, of having picked the wrong side. Melanie, Tara said evenly, I never chose to go to war with anyone. I'm just doing my job. Your job? At Mingda, your job seems to be digging under Hongda's foundations. A foundation that's solid can't be dug under. If it crumbles, it wasn't solid to begin with. Tara turned away. I should go. Mingda's celebration dinner, wouldn't want to miss it. Tara. Melanie's voice rose. Tara stopped, not turning. Something you said when you left, I've remembered it all this time. Article 3 of Auditing Standard Number 1141. Is all of this, are you trying to prove Mark violated it? Tara was quiet for a moment. Then she turned. Melanie, tell me something. When that report was altered, were you there? Melanie went white. She said nothing. She didn't need to. Tara walked away. Heels clicking with a steady, unyielding rhythm. Behind her, Melanie stood frozen like a stone. The celebration dinner was at a Cantonese restaurant near the World Trade Center. Jason had booked a private room for the project team, about a dozen people. Tara was seated beside Jason. She barely drank, just held her glass and took an occasional sip. George was blown away by your presentation today, Jason said. 20 years of government audits, and he'd never seen anyone pitch like that. I just did my homework. It was more than homework. You used what Mark Zhao taught you, and beat him with it. Tara didn't deny it. I'd call it karma. Jason laughed. Tara, I'm starting to find you a little frightening. Frightening how? Your self-control. Anyone else who'd been through what you have, they'd have broken down, made a scene. Instead, you spent 3 months quietly planning your revenge. That kind of emotional control is beyond most people. You're either extremely rational, or extremely dangerous. Which one do you think I am? Both. But I'm leaning toward rational. He met her eyes. Because of what you said at the podium, that a good audit proposal shouldn't be limited by a firm's boundaries. That's not something a person driven by revenge would say. That's someone who genuinely loves this profession. Tara looked down at her tea. Cold now, but the bitterness was muted. Jason, I have a request. Name it. From here on out, in every engagement with Hongda, everything stays within legal and regulatory bounds. No special tactics, no gray zone moves. Jason nodded slowly. Mingda only cares about competence. As long as you deliver on the work, I'll handle everything else. Tara raised her cup and drank the cold tea in one gulp. Bitterness spread across her tongue, then slowly, sweetness lingered. Her 7th cup after the cold coffee. 7. A fresh start. Hongda's response came faster than expected. The next morning, Tara found a legal letter from Hongda's legal department, use of Hongda trade secrets by your employee Tara Shen in competitive bidding. She read it through. Then she smiled. Here it comes. The letter stirred waves at Mingda. In Jason's office, the atmosphere was heavy. George sat on the sofa, face dark. Jason stood by the window. Tara sat opposite them, holding a printout. 3 allegations, Jason said. 1. You used Hongda trade secrets. 2. You misappropriated internal data. 3. You violated non-compete terms. They want you dismissed and $3 million in damages. Your response? George's eyes fixed on her. Tara placed the letter on the table. 1. All data I used came from public sources. She pulled out a folder. SICPA website notices, public company disclosures, government procurement announcements. All public records. George flipped through, expression softening. 2. I took no Hongda documents, data, or working papers when I left. My exit checklist is signed by Hongda's IT department, confirming all accounts and devices were cleared. We can apply for forensic verification if needed. 3. I never signed a non-compete with Hongda. Not because I refused, but because Mark Zhao never asked me to. In Hongda's structure, non-competes are only signed at partner level. I was a senior auditor, out of scope. Her tone was flat. Mark probably never imagined I'd end up at a competitor. George was thoughtful. Then this legal letter. Bluster. Mark lost the bid and needs a scapegoat. If he pins it on me, he can tell his people the loss wasn't his fault, it was sabotage. Jason picked up the letter and scanned it. Then he laughed. This legal letter has one interesting feature. He pointed to a line, your employee Tara Shen referenced our internal training framework. That's a trade secret. Analytical frameworks are standard industry methodology. If that counts, the whole audit industry ceases to compete. So you're saying? George looked at him. I'm saying this isn't about a real lawsuit. Mark knows these charges won't hold up. This letter is for me. He's testing my resolve. If I fold and let her go, he wins. If I keep her, it means I'm formally breaking with him and his entire network. The room fell quiet. George's expression was complicated. He knew Jason had never gotten along with the Hongda crowd, but Mingda still cooperated on some projects. A complete break would cost them. Jason, George said slowly, $3 million isn't huge. But for a 2-week hire, is it worth a war of words with Hongda? Jason turned to Tara. What do you think? Tara looked up. If this puts Mingda in a difficult position, I can. I didn't ask if you were leaving. I asked how you see this letter. Tara paused. Mark miscalculated. He's used to winning through pressure. At Hongda, he's a partner-elect, no one defies him. But he forgot something, Mingda isn't Hongda. He assumed you'd respond like everyone else who fears him, by backing down. A slow smile spread across Jason's face. You read me well. I studied. What did you conclude? Tara hesitated. You have a nickname in the industry, Jason. They call you Iron Chopsticks. George snorted. The nickname meant someone stiff, straight, with no patience for games. Against someone like Mark Zhao, it was exactly the right weapon. Fine, Jason stood. Let Mark see what iron chopsticks can do. He picked up the desk phone. Emily, set up a meeting with attorney Zhen Qin. Today. Zhen arrived at 2 p.m. She wore a sharp black suit, carried a briefcase, walked into Mingda with purpose. She and Tara exchanged a brief nod, no wasted pleasantries. In Jason's office, Zhen spent 15 minutes reading the letter, then set it down. This letter has zero legal standing. Why? George asked. Trade secret misappropriation requires 3 elements. 1. The information was secret, 2. The rights holder took reasonable steps to protect it, and 3. The defendant used it without permission. Hongda fails on all 3. Tara used only public information, no secrecy. Hongda never marked their internal training materials as confidential or restricted distribution. That's not reasonable protection. Even if the analytical framework were proprietary, Tara's methodology is reverse engineering from public data, which is legally permissible. And the non-compete? There's no valid non-compete agreement between Hongda and Tara. Even if there were, China's labor law caps non-competes at 2 years and requires the employer to pay monthly compensation. Hongda has neither a signed agreement nor any compensation payments. This is nonsense. George relaxed. So we reply and refute? Not yet. A subtle smile crossed Jin's face. Hongda's goal isn't litigation, it's creating pressure through legal theater. Since they've raised it publicly, let's turn it around on them. How? Jin looked at Tara. The data on Hongda's SICPA citations from the bid presentation, is there more detailed data available? Yes. I have a full 5-year record of Hongda's quality inspections. 3 public notices, 7 projects, 4 of which are government platform audits. If we compiled this into an industry analysis paper, would that be valuable? Tara understood. You mean, publish it as an industry report? Exactly. Hongda attacks your professional integrity with a legal letter, you respond with a professional analysis. No names, no accusations, just industry trends and data patterns. But anyone in the know will see where the data leads. Cold, Jason observed. And completely legal. Every data point is public. Every framework is standard. If Hongda wants to argue, they can publish a rebuttal, and have a public debate. Tara stood. Give me 3 days. 3 days later, an article titled, Government Financing Platform Audit Quality, an Industry Perspective Based on Public Data, appeared on China Audit Observer, an industry media platform. Authored by Tara Shen, Mingda Research Institute. 8,000 words, 17 data charts, a systematic analysis of issues in government platform audits. Not a single mention of Hongda. But every chart, every data point, pointed to Hongda's shadow. In government platform auditing, Hongda was the dominant player. That certain projects flagged in SICPA notices, every industry insider knew where they came from. The afternoon of publication, Tara's phone began to ring non-stop. First, Melanie. Tara, what are you trying to do? Mark saw the article. He's furious. The article discusses industry phenomena. What does that have to do with Mark? Don't play dumb. Everyone knows those SICPA notices are about Hongda. Melanie, SICPA notices are public records, accessible to every practitioner. If analyzing public data is an attack, then this entire industry has no reason to exist, because analyzing data is exactly what we do. Silence. Then, you've changed. The Tara I knew wouldn't do this. The Tara I knew wouldn't have been framed. Tara ended the call. Second, Fiona. A long WeChat message, Tan, I read your article. It's professionally brilliant. But I'm so worried about you. Mark mentioned your name at today's meeting, his tone was terrifying. He said he'd make sure you'd never work in this industry again. Tan, Why are you doing this? You could start fresh in a different field. Why are you fighting Hongda? You can't beat him. Tara read it 3 times. Then she typed, Fiona, the night you stole my data, did you ever imagine it would come to this? Fiona's side went silent. No response. The third call came late and from an unexpected source. 10 p.m. Tara was still at the office. An unknown number. She answered. Ms. Shen. This is Director Chen from the SICPA Quality Inspection Department. Tara straightened. Director Chen, hello. I read your article. The data analysis is solid, many of your observations match our internal inspection findings. Thank you, Director. I'm not calling in an official capacity. I'm just letting you know personally, the annual quality inspections start next week. Government platform audits are a priority area. Tara's heart beat faster. Thank you for the notice. Don't thank me. Just keep doing good work. The line went dead. Tara sat with the phone in her hand, staring at Beijing's nightscape. She texted Jen, quality inspections start next week. The timing is perfect. Hongda reacted faster than Tara anticipated. 5 days after the article, a statement appeared in the industry press, restrained, didn't name Tara directly, but stressed Hongda's consistent adherence to professional standards, expressed deep regret at certain former employees' misuse of public information to misrepresent facts, and reserved the right to pursue legal remedies. Mark Zhao was clever. Instead of head-on confrontation, he framed Tara's actions as emotional venting from a disgruntled ex-employee. The statement split industry opinion. Some questioned Tara's motives. Is this really about professional standards, or just personal grievance? At noon, Jason called Tara to his office. Seen Hongda's statement? Yes. What do you think? Expected. Mark won't go quietly. 20 years in the business, his network runs deeper than mine. If he can't beat me head-on, he'll attack from the side, question my motives, blur the focus, drag a professional debate into emotional mud. Once people start arguing over whether I'm acting out of revenge, no one's asking whether Hongda's audit procedures were actually deficient. How do you plan to counter it? By not countering it. I won't respond. Not a word. I'll write a second article, still data, still technical, just as clinical as the first. I'll show by action, this isn't emotion, it's professional judgment. Jason looked at her, a slow smile spreading. I'm increasingly convinced Mark Zhao's biggest mistake was kicking you out. Thank you, Jason. But the real test is still ahead, the quality inspections. The inspections will uncover problems, but they won't solve my problem. I need evidence of the original project tampering. Any progress? A pause. The working papers were cleaned, no traces. Approval records altered, no traces. Emails wiped. That level of intervention required more than just Mark's authority. Someone from IT had to be involved. At Hongda, there are only 2 people with direct access to the audit system backend, the IT manager and the partner overseeing IT. IT manager, Tom Chien. Mark's hometown connection, brought in 10 years ago on Mark's recommendation. Are you going to approach him? Not yet. When the quality inspections start, Hongda will be under pressure. People make mistakes under pressure. I'm waiting for him to slip. She stood. Jason, I need a day off next week. What for? To see someone. She held up her phone, showing a call log with Melanie Su's name. Some people are more scared of the quality inspections than I am. Mark is a partner, if things blow up, he's protected. Melanie is a senior auditor, if things blow up, she's the scapegoat. She knows that better than anyone. Jason stared at her, feeling a chill. This woman was playing chess, not blind revenge, but a calculated, multi-layered trap. Every move legally clean. Every move hitting an exposed nerve. Tara, he said, have you ever thought, when all of this is done, what will you have left? A pause. I'll still be an auditor. That's it. That's it. I didn't choose this profession for revenge. Revenge just happened to be in the path I had to clear. The weekend, Tara went to her mother's place, an older two-bedroom apartment in Beijing's West Third Ring. Small but spotless. Pot-hose trailed from the balcony. Her mother was in the kitchen making soup. Come in, come in. The soup still needs a bit. Tara sat on the sofa. The wall clock was the same from childhood. Familiar. Safe. Her mother emerged with soup, sitting across from her. How's work? Good. The new firm is a decent fit. I don't really understand your industry. Her mother ladled soup into a bowl, but your Aunt Wang sent me an article the other day. Your name was on it. She said it was wonderfully professional. Tara's spoon paused. You read it? I did. It was indeed well written. But some of the data, it relates to projects you worked on at Hongda, doesn't it? Tara fell silent. Yes. The things you're doing, could they hurt people? Yes. The people who cut corners on audits, they'll face consequences. Her mother looked at her. And are those people, are they the ones who wronged you? Tara lowered her head. Yes. A long silence. Steam rose from the soup, drifting between them. Tan, her mother finally said, do you remember how your father died? Tara's hand tightened. Yes. You were 15. Your father had an accident on a construction site. The contractor ran, we never got any compensation. Later, one of your father's co-workers told me, the contractor had known the scaffolding was faulty but didn't fix it. Fixing it cost money. Tara said nothing. She remembered, it was the first time in her life she'd learned that some people put money before human lives. I was so angry. At that contractor. At everyone who preys on honest people. I thought about picketing their office, calling the media, doing whatever it took to make them pay. But your father had said something to me before he died. He said, don't go fighting them. Our daughter, she has to grow up clean. Tara's eyes stung. So you never did anything? Not nothing. After you got into college, I went to the labor bureau and used legal channels to get that company's safety license revoked. They couldn't take on new projects after that. The company folded. Tara looked up, startled. She'd never known this. So, her mother continued, I'm not against you holding people accountable. But remember, keep your methods legal, and your conscience clear. Don't let other people's wrongdoing make you dirty. I know, Mom. You've always had a good head on you. I won't lecture. Her mother put more ribs in her bowl. Drink your soup. There's fruit after. Tara bent over her soup. Hot and rich. At the bottom of the bowl, a tear slipped in, but she made sure her mother didn't see. The SICPA quality inspections began earlier than expected. Tuesday morning, the inspection team arrived at Hongda. Of the 5 projects selected for review, 3 were government platform audits. Tara learned this through industry channels that afternoon. Then Melanie called. Tara. Her voice was shaking. The inspectors pulled 3 of our team's projects. Mark wants me to pull the working papers for them. But, 2 of them don't match the versions we filed. Don't match how? I can't say over the phone. Tara, can you meet me tomorrow? When? 8 p.m. Starbucks at Chaoyang Joy City. Fine. After the call, Tara sat at her desk, staring at her screen. Melanie reaching out meant only one thing, Mark Zhao was making her his fall guy. The discrepancies in those working papers, once discovered, would need a responsible party. Mark, as partner, was harder to push out. Melanie, as project lead, was the natural scapegoat. She wasn't asking Tara to save her. She was offering a trade. The Starbucks was quiet that evening. Tara arrived to find Melanie already seated in a corner, plain clothes, no makeup, dark circles under her eyes, looking worn. 2 cups on the table, a hot Americano, Melanie's. A latte, in the empty seat. Tara sat down, leaving the latte untouched. I remember you don't like Americano. Always said it was too bitter. Tastes change. Melanie smiled, brittle. The inspectors reviewed the papers today. In those 2 projects, the dates on key analytical pages don't match. When Mark told me to alter the working papers, I thought it was just for internal review. I never expected an external inspection. Did he leave any trace, email, WeChat? Melanie shook her head. Never in writing. Verbal only. Or phone calls. Then why are you here? Melanie gripped her cup. If the inspectors find the issues, Mark will pin it on me. He'll say I changed the papers on my own, without his knowledge. Because the modification logs show my account. Tara said nothing. Tara, I know I owe you. When you were away on that business trip, Mark told me to review your working papers. I found your notes, detailed notes flagging the client's accounting irregularities. I told Mark. He said he'd handle it. Then your working papers were changed. Those analytical pages were deleted and replaced with a different version. Who wrote the replacement? A long pause. Fiona. The name cut like a blade. What did Fiona's version say? Completely opposite. It concluded the client's financial data showed no irregularities, that audit procedures were fully executed, no material misstatements identified. Completely different from yours. Tara closed her eyes. The images came clear, Fiona using her spare key at 3:17 a.m., sitting at Tara's desk, opening her computer, deleting months of work. You're telling me this now because you want something. Not something. I want a lifeline. What kind? If the inspectors pursue this, I won't take the fall alone. Mark wants to push me out, I'll tell everything I know. Who told me to alter the papers, who made the audit decisions, who deleted the emails, everything. If you do that, you'll implicate yourself too. I know. I'm complicit. But I can at least name the real culprit and get some leniency. Is that why you asked me here? No. Melanie reached into her bag and pulled out a USB drive, placing it on the table. This is everything I could find. When Mark told me to alter the papers, I kept a record. Every phone call, I recorded it. Tara stared at the small black drive. Why give it to me? Because I don't have the courage to report this myself. I did wrong, I know that. I've regretted it every day. But I'm scared of losing my job, being blacklisted, having Mark come after me. I'm not as tough as you, Tara. But you dared to walk away. You dared to go to Mingda. You dared to beat him in a fair competition. This thing in my hands, for me, it's just insurance. But in your hands. She didn't finish. Tara reached out and took the drive. How many recordings? 7. Every one complete? Yes. Timestamps, call durations, phone numbers, all traceable. Backups? Melanie nodded. 3 copies. 1 for you, 1 in my hometown safe, 1 in my personal email. Tara slipped the drive into her pocket. One last thing. How involved was Fiona? Melanie was silent for a few seconds. More than you think. The anonymous complaint that accused you of concealing audit risks, Fiona wrote it. Mark authorized it, but she drafted it. After you left, Fiona took over your projects. The government platform project, the one flagged in the inspection. Your working papers were deleted, but she kept an original version on her personal computer. Why? I don't know. Maybe to protect herself. Maybe to hold over Mark. Fiona, she's not like me. I'm passive, I did what Mark told me. But she has her own calculations. Tara stood. I understand. Tara. Melanie called after her. When will you use this? Tara looked down at her. When the inspection results come out. If Mark doesn't make you the fall guy, this never surfaces. Melanie blinked. You're giving me an out. I'm not giving you anything. I just don't strike first. That's my principle. She picked up the cold latte and took a sip. You still haven't learned to order coffee. She set it down. I remember the past. I remember the present. Today you came to me. What you say to the investigators from here, that's on you. She turned and walked out. Outside, the autumn wind hit her face. The USB drive was in her pocket. Light. But holding enough to keep certain people awake at night. She messaged Jin, got evidence. 7 recordings, Mark directly ordering subordinates to alter working papers. Jin replied instantly, legally solid. When do you plan to use it? Tara typed, deleted, then, wait for quality inspection results. If findings match my analysis, submit recordings as supplemental evidence. If they don't, use recordings to trigger an appeal. Understood. Stay safe. Tara locked her phone and walked to the subway. Ginkgo trees had shed most of their leaves now, golden carpets under streetlights, glinting softly. 3 months of hibernation, 1 month of positioning. Everything was ready. Now came the harvest season. No. Not harvest. Reckoning. The quality inspection results came out 2 weeks later. Hongda was found to have issues including insufficient execution of audit procedures, irregular working paper documentation, and substantive procedure gaps in certain projects. Specific projects weren't named publicly, but industry sources confirmed Hongda had been ordered to implement corrective measures, during which they would not be permitted to take on new government audit contracts. A devastating blow. Government audits were Hongda's largest business segment, accounting for over 40% of total revenue. A freeze on new contracts meant at least 3 months without their main income source. On the day the news broke, Tara's phone rang again, a virtual number. Tara Shin. You think you've won? Altered voice. Mark asked me to tell you, this industry is small. You've got a long road ahead. Leave some room, or it'll make your life difficult. Tara's mouth curved slowly. Tell him I'm not a Hongda employee anymore. He doesn't need to teach me manners. A beat. Also, I have something I think he should hear. She hung up and sent Mark Zhao a single audio file from the USB drive. No subject line. No message. Just the recording. Mark's voice, unmistakable. Melanie, those critical analytical pages, delete them. Replace with the version I sent you. Remember, no backups. IT will handle the email trail. Then Melanie's hesitant reply, Mark, wouldn't that, the analysis was Tara's work. If something comes up later, I'll cover you. Just do it. Tara watched the sent confirmation and closed her mailbox. Outside, the first snow of winter was falling, fine, delicate flakes accumulating on the windowsill. Her phone buzzed. Jen, inspection results are out, fully consistent with your analysis. Should I prepare materials for an official complaint to the SICPA? Tara replied, yes. Then she set her phone down and picked up the fresh cup of tea on her desk. Hot. Fragrant. Her 8th cup since arriving at Mingda. No more coffee. The inspection results rippled through the industry like a stone dropped into still water. Within 3 days, word of Hongda's corrective measures had spread everywhere. Government clients began reassessing relationships, some froze active projects. At Mingda's meeting room, Jason ran the weekly team briefing. The provincial finance project, the client has formally awarded us the contract. This win was made possible by Tara's technical proposal. Applause. Tara nodded slightly, expression calm. Also, Jason continued, during Hongda's correction period, several of their government clients have reached out to us. Business team, expect overtime this week. Jason, George spoke up, I hear Mark's been using every connection he has to shorten the correction window. Who can he lobby? The SICPA's decision isn't something a provincial department can override. Maybe not, but Hongda has state-backed shareholders. If they exert pressure at the top, the SICPA might not hold firm. Tara looked up. George is right. The correction period is negotiable. If Hongda completes remediation and passes re-inspection quickly, the freeze can be lifted early. How fast do you think they can do it? If they go all in, 2 months. But with one condition, they have to assign responsibility for the problem projects. Under SICPA rules, unless those responsible are dealt with, remediation isn't complete. Jason studied her. Meaning? For Hongda to get past this, someone has to take the fall. Mark's a partner, he can't carry it. He'll push it downward, Melanie Su or Fiona Fong. Or both. Melanie was the lead on those 2 projects, the modification logs show her account. Fiona took over after, signed the final reports. On the compliance chain, they're the ones who get caught. But you know who's really responsible. Knowing and proving are different things. Mark's advantage is that he never documents anything. Every instruction is verbal. Unless someone produces direct evidence, investigators can only pursue up to Melanie and Fiona. You have that evidence? Tara didn't answer directly. Jason, I have a request. During Hongda's correction period, when Mingda approaches their former clients, please don't actively badmouth Hongda. Jason blinked. Why not? Because Hongda's clients aren't fools. The inspection results are public. They can read them for themselves. We don't need to rub their noses in it. If Mingda stays professional and restrained, we'll look more confident. George nodded. She's right. Kicking a firm when it's down looks bad to government clients. Fine. We'll do it your way. After the meeting, Tara returned to her desk. In her inbox, an unread email from Fiona. Subject line, I'm sorry. She stared at those 3 words for a long time, then opened it. Tan, I don't know how to say this. These past 3 months, I've asked myself every day if I'd do it again. I still don't know. Mark told me your project had issues and needed a senior reviewer. He said you were too junior to make the right call. I believed him. He told me to export your working papers, routine cross-check, you'd know when you got back. I believed him. 3 days later, I saw the altered report. The conclusion had changed from material misstatement risk to no irregularities found. Only then did I realize what I'd done. But it was too late. Mark said if it came out, I'd be implicated too, since I'd written parts of the final version. He said if I kept quiet, he'd protect me. After the storm passed, he'd recommend me for manager. I was scared. So I said nothing. Tan, I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to know, I didn't delete your original working papers. They're still on my personal hard drive. If you need them, I can give them to you. Fiona. Tara read it 3 times. Then she leaned back and closed her eyes. Those working papers still existed. 8 months of her life, endless nights of analysis, documenting irregularities, not destroyed. Stored on someone's private drive, waiting to be awakened. She opened her eyes and typed, Fiona, I don't want your apology. I want the complete files, all analytical attachments, emails, metadata. The timestamps must be intact, not a single alteration. I also need your written confirmation, the file creation dates, your account login times, mark specific instructions. Send it all to my email within 3 days. If you do this, in any subsequent investigation, I will confirm your cooperation. That will affect your accountability determination. Send. She watched the sent confirmation and drank her tea. She'd given Fiona the opportunity, not out of mercy, but because Mark feared evidence above all else. The more, the better. 3 days later, Fiona's files arrived. Tara spent an entire weekend reviewing them. Page by page, she compared original and altered versions. Zhao worked beside her on legal compliance. The timestamps are solid. Creation, modification, last access, every point aligns with your attendance records and travel logs. The timeline would hold up to forensic verification. Enough to overturn Hongda's conclusion. More than enough. Combined with Melanie's recordings, the evidence that Mark ordered the alteration is nearly airtight. Do we submit to the SICPA now? Zhao thought. 2 steps. First, submit the working papers to show the original audit conclusion was altered. That's a technical issue the SICPA can address directly. Second, if the SICPA confirms the alteration, submit the recordings to the regulators, because they identify who gave the orders, which is a disciplinary issue. How long for step 1? The materials are ready. I can draft the complaint now. Fastest case, submit next week. Tara nodded. Outside, snow was still falling. She watched the flakes and remembered 5 years ago, her first week at Hongda, full of ambition. Mark had clapped her shoulder. Zhao Shen, work hard. The future of the firm is in young hands like yours. She'd believed him. 5 years of sincere work. Until that disciplinary notice. Zhao, she asked, does this make me merciless? Zhao paused her typing. Tan, every move you've made has been inside the rules. Every piece of evidence you've submitted is real. You fabricated nothing, framed no one. You're only bringing hidden truths to light. How is that merciless? A long silence. I just wish I'd done it sooner. Why didn't you? Because back then I believed in them. I believed in fairness, that if you worked hard and did the right thing, you wouldn't be betrayed. And now? Now I only believe in rules. Data. Evidence. Not people. People who deserve it. Zhao smiled. That's enough. You don't have to trust everyone, just the right ones. The week after the complaint was submitted, the SICPA's response arrived, regarding Comrade Tara Shin's complaint concerning Hongda accounting firm's alteration of audit working papers. The Quality Inspection Department has opened an investigation. Please keep your contact information current and cooperate with the investigation. Tara stared at the document with its red official seal. Zhao asked, how do you feel? Nothing. Just, I finally feel like I can breathe out. Her phone rang. Jason. Tara, have you seen the news? What news? Hongda just announced Mark Zhao is suspended from partner duties pending internal investigation. Tara froze. Mark was suspended. The internal pressure after the quality inspections had been too great. He'd been the top candidate for partner, but now his career was on hold, all because he'd refused to let an audit report tell the truth. One bad decision. 8 months of work. 5 years of mentorship. Gone. Tara. You there? Here. The SICPA investigation is ongoing. Mark is just suspended, not formally sanctioned. You need to be ready for a long fight. I know. Tara ended the call and stood at the window. The snow had stopped. Sunlight broke through clouds, reflecting off the white accumulation in blinding brightness. A line came to her, when an avalanche comes, no single snowflake is innocent. But after an avalanche, the sun returns. The buried things melt and reveal their real shape. Justice could be slow. But it didn't have to be absent. Tara picked up her phone and messaged her mother, Mom, I'm coming home tonight. I want your soup. The reply came instantly, good. Pork ribs or black-bone chicken? Either. As long as it's yours. She sent it, closed her laptop, and packed up. At the front desk, Zhao called out, Sister Tara, someone's here for you. Tara turned. In the guest area, a familiar figure sat on the sofa. Melanie Sue, plain down jacket, low ponytail, no makeup. Ordinary. Tired. Tara walked over and sat across from her. What brings you? Melanie looked up. Mark's been suspended. I know. But Fiona was called in for questioning by the internal investigation team today. I think Hongda's trying to push all the blame onto her. Mark seems to know about the working papers she kept. His people went to her house this morning. Tara's pupils contracted. When? 2 hours ago. I came as soon as I heard. Tara, Fiona has evidence. If those working papers get destroyed, the copy you have becomes the only original. Tara stood, dialing. Zhen, can you come to Mingda? Emergency. 20 minutes later, Zhen arrived. Tara explained. We need to submit the formal copy to the SICPA investigation team immediately. We have the original. Even if they destroy Fiona's copy, our evidence is still valid. But we have to move fast. Can we do it tonight? We have to. Zhen opened her laptop and began organizing the submission. Tara sat beside her, watching the sky darken. She thought of Fiona's email, I'm not asking you to forgive me. Fiona had done many wrong things, but at least she'd kept those working papers. When Mark told her to destroy them, she'd saved them. A lifeline, maybe. Or conscience. Whatever it was, that document was now the key. Tara messaged Fiona, wherever you are right now, hide the original working papers. Don't give them to anyone. You're not protecting me. You're protecting yourself. After a long moment, Fiona replied, hidden. Don't worry. Tara didn't reply. City lights flickered on, illuminating snow-covered streets. Tonight would be sleepless. But she'd waited too long to mind one more night. 1 week later, the SICPA issued its preliminary findings. In the government platform audit led by Tara Shen, working papers had indeed been altered. The altered audit report failed to reflect the client's financial risks, constituting a serious quality deficiency. The SICPA ordered a full re-audit and referral of responsible parties to the disciplinary committee. Simultaneously, the SICPA had received Tara's 7 audio recordings. Mark Zhao's instructions to subordinate staff to alter working papers were clear and irrefutable. That afternoon, the disciplinary committee initiated formal proceedings against Mark Zhao. When the news came, Tara was organizing materials for a new government audit project at Mingda. Jason walked to her desk. Mark's investigation has started. I know. What are you thinking? Tara paused, pen in hand. I'm thinking, if I hadn't kept a complete record of my business travel, if I hadn't saved every email, if I hadn't noted every timestamp, would I be able to prove my innocence today? Jason was quiet for a moment. Luck? No. Habit. Something Mark taught me, the core of audit work isn't just finding other people's problems, it's protecting yourself. Every working paper has to hold up to review years later. Every conclusion needs sufficient, appropriate evidence. He taught you how to beat him. Yes. That's probably karma. She bent back to her work. Outside, the snow was melting. Droplets traced down the window frame, glittering in the afternoon light. Winter wasn't over yet. But spring wasn't far.